Bunge la Maisha. Mahojiano na mazungumzo kuntu.
Bila shaka mahojiano na mazungumzo kuntu, na kama tulivyokueleza mgeni wetu tayari ameshafika ndani ya studio. Tuko naye Mr. Joshua Odhiambo Nyamori ambaye ni advocate of the High Court na advocate of the High Court of Kenya, na pia vile governance and policy expert. Kidogo alikuwa ameshikana lakini amemake it, so lazima tutaendelea na mazungumzo yetu. Mr. Joshua, good morning na karibu sana ndani ya Bunge la Maisha kwenye radio Zaidi ya Radio.
Good morning. Nime apologize kwa kuchelewa.
No problem. No problem. It's allowed.
Karibu.
Nafikiri tutaanza na hali halisi ya mambo yalivyo katika taifa la Kenya in terms of governance. As a governance expert, mtu ambaye una analyze governance of the country, how are we doing?
I think compared to lazima to compare from the past, we are making a lot of progress. Definitely kuna changamoto hapa na pale, but governance yetu iko more participatory. Watu wanauliza questions on what is happening in the government, and the government is pushed to be more accountable to the people. So compared to what we have had in this country in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and even in the later 2000s, to make progress.
Okay. Yeah. To make progress.
Definitely kuna shida hapa na pale. Kuna mambo za corruption. Kuna elements ya watu kusema ati they are excluded from the government. But I think there is progress.
Kuna progress.
Especially with the clarion call ya president kwamba we have to have an inclusive government. Penye kila mtu anapata nafasi ya kuparticipate kwa serikali.
Na tatizo ambalo tumekuwa nalo as a nation, Mr. Joshua, mambo ya corruption. Na imeonekana ni elephant in the room. Kumbuka wakati wa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta alisema we are losing almost 1 billion shillings per day. Juzi pia tetesi ya kwamba there's 1.3 trillion ilienda mahali tu haijulikani. Makontrakta wengine wamefanya kazi for the county governments, lakini pesa haijakuja. Governors are complaining ya kwamba we are not getting money from the exchequer. So kumekuwa na mambo mengi. Ni juzi tu kulikuwa na story ile ilikuwa katika county ya Turkana ambapo uliona just a mere soldier is a millionaire. How are we going to deal na story ya corruption kama
baadhi ya viongozi majuzi pia walishikwa, jina kidogo limenipotea, shikwa na milioni 6 kwenye gari la cash money
nyumbani.
Mimi husema kwamba corruption yenye inatuaffect Kenya ni a social problem. It is not a pure leadership problem. And kama tunataka tuepuke na corruption, we have as a country to agree and come together to change our attitude about governance and about politics and about public assets. Because we have a country in which public servant akiretire at the age of 60 na ajajenga nyumba kubwa na ana gari kubwa, anaonekana kama failure. Na politician asipokuwa na pesa ya kudistribute around the constituency or the county, anaonekana kama anaambiwa when you one term you will not go back. And so because of that tumepata businessmen coming into leadership positions rather than leaders who want to serve the people. So I always tell people that if we want our leaders, if we want government officials to change, lazima to change attitude yetu kama wa Kenya, so that we expect leaders wafanye kazi yao yenye katiba inataka wafanye, and then sisi kama wananchi we live by our means, and we don't expect kwamba public servants and leaders watakuwa an ATM for us. I had a discussion with an MP the other day, and ananiambia haezi kuja constituency kama hana 200,000 to spend in one day. Okay, so akiwa constituency for 2 days, that is Saturday and Sunday, lazima akuwe na a minimum of 400,000. MP has a million shillings, and then after kudidaktiwa atabaki na about 600 something thousand. Where will he get the 400,000 to be spending every weekend in the constituency? He must steal it. That is why utapata wajumbe wameinsist lazima wabaki na CDF, because wanapora CDF. Most of them wanapora CDF. The other thing is that they then use powers in Yokonayo to oversight government, to hold government officials at ransom. Ati ukikuja kwetu lazima utupatie pesa. Usipotupatia pesa, we will blacklist you. We will give up an adverse report about you. So we have to change so many things, especially our attitude on leadership and governance as a people, and then we elect the right people into office.
Lakini kabla ni tuende mbali kidogo ningeomba tuulizane hili swali. Je, kosa ni la nani bwana Joshua ukisema kwamba kiongozi anapata muda mgumu ya kwamba kirudi pale mashinani wananchi wana demand vitu fulani na fulani? Lakini ukiangalia upande wa pili, je, hao wananchi ungekuwa na demand hizi hela ama tuseme hizi handouts, kama viongozi wetu wangekuwa wanahusika na masuala yote ya development, umesisitiza pale kusema kwamba ndio maana wanataka kushikilia ule mfuko wa CDF. Je, huo mfuko wa CDF malengo yake ni kuhakikisha kwamba wale wananchi wamepata huduma, ama malengo yake ni kuhakikisha kwamba zile handouts ndo zinaendelea kupitia ule mfuko wa CDF? We have misplaced priorities pale.
Definitely. And your misplaced priority is misplacement yenye tuko nao kama the nation. We have to change as a nation. Unless we change as a nation and get in the right people wenye watatufanyia kazi kama wananchi, definitely we will still have wanabiashara, and then we elected because wanatupatia pesa, then they have to get their money back. That's what we have to change. So until such a time that we will get the right people into leadership in various positions, tutakuwa na shida. Okay? Because we make politics too expensive. The right leaders a number of times shy away from running for elections because it's too expensive.
It is.
The other day kwetu mtu alikuwa, kuna vijana walikuwa niambia ati Nyamori ndakana sasa usimame ukue mjumbe. Nikamwambia mimi sijaiba na sitaki kuiba, and therefore I don't have money to give you people for the campaigns. So we need to get back to the point where a member of parliament salary yake ilikuwa imemtosha kurun his family and his needs, and kazi yake inakuwa measured according to what he does in parliament. Okay? And the governors, president and the other leaders are also governed according to what they do and not how much money they have.
Okay? Kuna story naona ilikuwa inaangaziwa juzi tu, Mr. Ruben. Hii ni former governor wa county ya Vihiga, Caleb Amaswachi, ambaye right now he's fetching firewood, ndo at least atengeze almost 300 shillings per day akimu mahitaji yake. I was looking through the comments ya Wakenya, na wakawa naulizana kwani ni aje, haukujipanga. Wengine wanasema kwani unaye hakujua kuishi, unaye hakujua kuiba, and all that.
So that is the elephant in the house. That I do not know what Scholar Amaswachi, Caleb Amaswachi was doing after that. But if he could go back to what he was, if his work was firewood, that's okay. But even if he is not able to go back to what he was doing, but he can earn his living from the firewood, that's okay.
It's very okay.
It is very okay. So that we do not look at the success of the leadership in terms of uliiba ngapi, umejenga nyumba kubwa, uko na magari gari kubwa, or your children are going to they are called the group of schools. Okay? I look up to the day when our leaders watakuwa attend for treatment in public hospitals, especially now that tuna evolve the universal healthcare under SHA.
Yes.
Wakuwe wanakuwa treated hapo, tusikie a minister wa health akiwa mgonjwa amepelekwa Kenyatta
hapo. Yeah, there was a there was a notice of motion
yes.
Kwa National Assembly ambayo ilipelekwa na Sabina Chege, Mheshimiwa Sabina Chege, na that is what she was proposing.
Exactly.
Ya kwamba unajua nini, let us pia sisi licha ya kwamba ni Mr. Ruben hapa kuna cheo, licha ya kwamba is a member of parliament, is a senator and all that, sote tutibiwe hapa.
Exactly.
In public hospitals.
Exactly. Nilikuwa village in December na nikawa mgonjwa. I decided to walk to our nearest dispensary, a public health dispensary. Yes. At the time yenye nilikuwa hapo, nilitibiwa, nikapewa dawa, so I was able to confirm that the dispensary was functional.
Yes.
At the same time, nilikuwa na wakati wa kuongea na madaktari na nurses, na the other staff, nisikie what their issues are. So if we could have our leaders were in the ISO facilities, or watoto wao were in the public schools, so that they could know what the public, the members of the public are facing, and deal with those issues from a point of knowledge, rather than having our leaders treated in Nairobi hospital or taken abroad, and when they are discussing our issues, then they really don't understand what the common man is going through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ndani ya studio zetu definitely tuko naye Mr. Joshua Odhiambo Nyamori, na kama tulivyokueleza ni advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and of course governance and policy expert. Mr. Joshua, of course saizi amepunguza travels, Rais Dr. William Ruto. Nakumbuka wakati ambapo aliingia before ma protest za Gen Z, kulikuwa na he was traveling a lot, lakini naona kidogo saizi imepungua, but this time round he's going ameenda China, na amesema kwamba according to statement ambayo tumeipata, ataangazia mambo ya infrastructure, mambo ya kupanua bandari zetu, that is Lamu, Mombasa and of course Kisumu. Amesema pia ataangalia kama tutaenda kuangalia vipi tutafufua uchumi wa taifa letu and in terms of gaining economic stability. At a time inakuja wakati ambapo United States President Donald Trump ameweka tariffs ya bidhaa ambazo zinaingia katika taifa la Marekani. Hapa itaweza kuleta labda uhasama ya kwamba of course wamekuwa na vuta ni kuvute kati ya China and US na interest zao in Africa as a whole. Do we go the China way or bado manake naona there's a statement ambayo ametumia hapa kwenye gazeti la This Standard ya kwamba we are flirting with both the eagle and the dragon. Mr. Joshua.
Umejua, as a country, shida yetu ni we are a poor country. And a poor country, we are desperate for development. Now, development, we can only get it through two means. Either to tax watu wetu, or tupate loan. Hata loan tukipata tutailipa baadaye. Or tupate grants. Now, tumekuwa na the two sides, that is the western side na the eastern side. The eastern side, initially tulikuwa na USSR and so on, and the US on the west side, but with the time, USSR power yao ilirudi chini na China has grown to be a big economy that is competing the US and the other western countries. And so as a country, we have to gauge, what do we do? Do we go the western or do we go the eastern side? Now, what should guide us is our self-interest as a country. And our self-interest as a country is that where can we get what we want easily and more cheaply. In my view, it is still easier and cheaper to get Chinese loans and Chinese grants than to get the American loans and grants. American loans and grants, one, itachukua muda. If you start negotiation now, the earliest you can get the project on the ground will maybe this be 7 years. But 7 years, if you're a president, you will have been voted out. And then zinakuja na a lot of conditionalities that are necessary with their interests. The Chinese are very clear. They are business people. Okay? Na in their business, wanakuja wanafanya biashara na wewe, they make profit, you get the development. Okay? But then they don't put several conditionalities. So a Chinese contract you can sign today, and in the next 6 or 7 months the project is on the ground moving. The projects that the president has talked about, kwanza mabarabara, and then hizo mambo za ports. Mimi natoka Kisumu. So Kisumu, we need the port to be done and the SGR to hit Kisumu, so that we can improve the movement and communication between Mombasa, Nairobi and Kisumu in terms of goods na watu. And then that will connect us to the Eastern and Central Africa. Tukianza ku negotiate with America and Europeans for that loan, it will take us another probably 10 years to start the projects. So I support the going the Chinese way.
You support going the Chinese way?
I support going the Chinese way.
Okay.
Americans might feel slighted, but what are they giving us? In fact, they are recoiling. All the engagements that we had with them, they are looking at Americans' interest, national interest, and you know, Trump has definitely interfered with the relationship that America had with all the countries, including Kenya, because even Kenya, the tariffs are affecting us. So let's work with the country that is willing to work with us. And I'm thinking that in this competition, China will beat the US because China is willing to work with the world, to trade with the world, with no conditionalities.
Purely business.
Purely business.
Bila shaka mahojiano na mazungumzo kuntu. Right, Mr. Joshua, nafikiri tutarudi kwako. Likuwa tumeuliza kabla ya kumpisha Erastus Kibona tuletee habari za sasa ya kwamba hii ikiwa tutaelekea the China way. Na pia tumekuwa na uhusiano wa karibu sana na taifa la Marekani, lakini yamejiri yale ambayo yamejiri already. Haitaleta diplomatic row?
It might bring diplomatic row, lakini what should guide us is our self-interest as a nation. We should always at every point ask ourselves, tukiwei what we are getting from China and what we are getting from the US, ni pande gani inatusaidia sana. And my view is that with the change of administration, tulikuwa tumeimprove our relationship with the US. And we, you know, you remember President wetu alikuwa hosted in White House, and but then there was change of administration. The change of administration imekuja na change of policy, especially foreign policy for the US. And so we don't expect, we are not a very special country from the rest of the world. Ata Canada, which is their neighbor, is suffering because of decisions that are being made by some people call it the madman in White House. And so if China is willing to do business with us, then it is important that the president closes those agreements with China during this trip. You see, as a president, he had only 5 years, maybe 2 years now, and then if he gets re-elected, then he has just another 5 years. And so if somebody wants to keep him in engagements that are not helpful to the country, let's work with that can give us resources right now to do our stuff.
Na tukiangalia the debt burden ambayo tuko nayo as a nation, tayari kuna China included. Tuko na deni ambalo wanatudai, na probably kwa hii ziara pia definitely labda tutazidi kuongeza hilo deni. So hii debt ceiling inazidi kwenda juu.
Definitely. Third world countries including Kenya are in a debt crisis. Debt crisis ni umefika point moja yenye debt inakuburden sana, lakini huwezi survive bila debt. So despite the fact that debt is a big burden that if you could do away with, you would better do away with, but there is no way we can't do without debt. For instance, the issues zenye president ameenda kutafuta in China. The options we have is not to get development, especially infrastructural development. The magnitude of infrastructural development that we need in terms of the SGR, in terms of the roads, in terms of the ports, we cannot do them using the amount of money that we collect here. Na pia tumekuwa tukipiga kelele every time serikali imesema tuongeze tax kidogo. Sisi wa Kenya tunapiga kelele sana. So rather we take sustainable debt. Sustainable debt is that you take debt yenye itakusaidia. Na hiyo debt the payment will not overburden you so much. It can be spread over a period of time. And I think Chinese debt has proved that it can be able to do that. And unlike this, sustainable debt is unlike the debts yenye tulikuwa tumechukua previously that have burdened us na tuoni what they have done. For instance, it was said we received 500 billion shillings from Eurobond, which we are paying now. But the Auditor General alisema during the previous regime that they cannot trace where that money went to. Okay? That money was banked somewhere and it cannot be traced to any projects here. What I like about the approach in President Ananda to China about he's not just going to ask for money. Amesema he's going to ask for money for specific projects. So we can be able to trace that money. That President alienda nakapata trilioni kama 2 na out of that so much money is going to SGR, so much money is going to road, so much money is going to the ports, so that we can monitor that and ensure that money is used properly. The challenge we have as Kenyans is to ensure that to monitor any debt or even taxation that we get to ensure that they do what they are supposed to do. That's that job. The president cannot do it alone.
Itasaidia in terms of economic revival, manake everyone is complaining right now there is no money.
Definitely when we get the loans and they're invested in the local projects, immediately that money, a very big chunk of it would be spent on the ground in terms of paying suppliers, paying subcontractors, paying of workers, and so on and so forth. And when that happens, when government spends in big projects like that, then pesa ina circulate around the economy. Pesa circulate around the economy in terms of what the president has been preaching. That is the bottom up approach. That allows money to circulate even to the mama mboga and to the boda. Okay? So I'm hoping that should help money. Money circulates. And once money circulates, then the economy starts recovering.
Very true.
Labda ningeongezea kwa baadhi ya wasikilizaji ambao wanasikiza asubuhi ya leo, tukitoka upande tukiingia upande wa pili hapa. Kuna baadhi ya Kenya ambao wanataka kuongelea masuala hapa nyumbani, akiuliza kwamba je, maoni yako ni gani kuhusu masuala yote process ya vetting ya wale makamishna wa IEBC? Anauliza je, kuna uwazi wowote especially baada ya majina mengine 6 kuongezwa ambayo alikuwa yako kwa orodha? Vile vile kuna swali hapa unaweza kanunukuu. Anauliza je, kufikia sasa serikali ya Rais William Samoei Ruto je iko na stability, akisema kwamba kila mara tumeona kwamba cabinet secretaries wake wamekuwa wakirushwa dekoti moja hadi nyingine, wengine wakifutwa, wengine wakiwekwa wapya. Je, reshuffle cabinet kila wakati? Anauliza, are we a confused country?
No. When IEBC, I think we, as a country tulikuwa tumekubaliana na tukatengeneza an independent panel to handle the issue. I would ask the Kenyans who wapatie that panel an opportunity. Definitely there are issues in zimekuwa raised, for instance the 6 new names, but the panel has said they have powers to do that. Tuangalie if they complete the process na tuone kuna shuda, we have options of going to court to hold them to account. However, we should also let the process move forward towards its completion, because tusipokuwa na IEBC, then definitely we cannot prepare for elections. Like right now, the biggest fear is that we might not have new constituencies because tumepita the time when we were supposed to have constituencies. So I would, from a governance perspective, I would encourage most Kenyans, even as we expect the IEBC IBC team wafanya a good job, I would ask Kenyans to give them support to get going. About the stability of the country and the stability of governance, there must always be a balance between do you want stability and reforms? And reforms, last night I was thinking about in terms of after the Gen Z protests and you see the President kuvunja the cabinet, appoint a new cabinet, expand that cabinet to include other people. What can how can I defend the president? And I said that I could call the president as a learning president. Unlike presidents, we have in Africa, presidents who would not listen. They would stick to their path that they have set. Hata watu wakikufa, and we have very many examples across the continent. But President William Ruto, Gen Z, definitely there was the unfortunate deaths and injuries and destructions, but then he quickly learned. Nakasema, there is a problem, and let me listen to what these young people are saying, and then if they have a problem with the leadership that I have in terms of my cabinet, wacha nivunje your cabinet. Na akafanya consultation. After that akatengeza a broad-based government. A broad-based government, umeona imeleta part of the country that were opposed to the government because walikuwa na feel they are excluded from the governance of this country. And Article 232 ya katiba ina expect kwamba in the public sector and public service we have a face of Kenya. So at least ukiona the list of cabinet ministers, na uone the list of PSS and top government officers, it has improved according to inclusivity, and it's more acceptable across the country. So while there are certain things we could still want the president to change on, I'm thinking that the president has proved that, one, he's a learning president, he listens, and at the same time that he's willing to sit with his opponent and his rivals across the table, and shake hands with his opponent and move forward. What matters is that, are we all interested in development of the country? I compared what the president has done to what Abraham Lincoln did in the U.S. during the war, when he won, but then he decided, because the country was divided and they were facing the civil war, to bring in his fiercest opponent into government and give them key cabinet positions, including finance, AG, just like President William Ruto has done, and give them the confidence that they can work together. It is definitely an experiment, not tried before in this country and other African countries, but I think it is something that heals the nation.
Okay.
Yes.
Naona dakika zinakwenda 20 baada ya saa 3, wakati ambapo tunamalizia Mr. Joshua, Wakenya wajue nini? What do you advise ule Mkenya ambaye anakusikiza asubuhi ya leo?
Yes. Mimi kitu naweza advise watu wa Kenya wenye wanasikiza leo is that governance is our responsibility, sisi sote, and that we have a responsibility to support our leaders to deliver on their mandate, but also to hold them account. And that Kenyans should be interested in what is going on. I remember, for example, Kenyans got surprised that the money they are paying for affordable housing is a tax and not a contribution, a saving. But you see, there was the entire process, developing the legislation where that was discussed, and it was finally agreed and adopted by Parliament that it will be a tax, and that was necessary so that affordable housing is provided, especially to wale watu wenye hawezi pata cannot be able to house themselves. So the reason why certain Kenyans appeared surprised is because they did not take keen interest kwa hiyo process ya legislation, the Affordable Housing Act. I would encourage us to take interest and to be involved.
All right, Kenyans take interest and let us be involved in whatever is happening in the country. Asante sana Mr. Joshua kwa kuweza kupitia ndani ya studio zetu asubuhi ya leo. Definitely tutazidi kutafutana, if we need to engage tuzidi kuengage, manake wa kila siku nasema civic education si kitu ya siku moja.
Asante.
Tutazidi kuifanya na Mkenya kawaida azidi kuelewa haswa what is going on in the country.
Nimeshukuru.
Karibu sana.
Happy to join you and to join you again and again.
Yeah,
Shukran sana.
Tumekuwa naye Mr.